Hi everyone, this is Marianne and welcome to a series on my channel called 5-Minute Book Talk, in which I take roughly 5 minutes to talk about a book that I have read while I flip through the book. In this video, I will be talking about the novel Titus Groan, which is written by Mervyn Peake. This is actually the first book of a trilogy, or what was originally a trilogy. Mervyn Peake did write other books to carry the one story. It is called the Gormenghast Series. Gormenghast is the name of the castle that Titus and his family lived in. This book, Titus Groan, the first book of the trilogy, was published in 1946, and this book that I have with me was something that I found randomly at a book sale many years ago, like maybe almost a quarter of a century ago, and that's when I read it. And I super loved the book. It was so wonderfully gothic. Titus Groan is the little boy. That's his name. He's Titus, the son of the Earl of Groan. And all of the other characters were so special and so wonderfully crafted. Titus's mother was a very striking woman. For the most part, she would just ignore her two children and left them with nannies, while she herself would just lounge in her suite of rooms in the castle with her cats and birds. So many cats and so many birds. It was like a menagerie in there, so dark and overgrown, and I could almost smell the animals. Titus's father, the Earl of Groan, was also quite the introvert and mostly just read books the whole day and was very much attached to the books in the library of the castle. At some point in the novel, he starts becoming insane and believes that he was an owl. And when he eventually dies, while Titus was still a little baby, Titus then becomes the Earl of Groan. Titus does have a sister. Her name is Fuchsia. She is the strong, extroverted, highly opinionated one. She's older than Titus and is also very close to Titus. She seems to wear only one kind of dress, a red dress, all the time. So that girl in the front cover of the book wearing a red dress, that is Fuchsia, the sister of Titus. Other characters were also very unforgettable. There was one character who was very old and very short, and he lived in the castle in rooms that had very low doors, and people who wanted to see him had to hunch down or get down on their knees to go through the doors. But he, on the other hand, would just waddle through nonchalantly without ever bumping his head because he was so short. Titus also had two aunts. They were twin sisters of Titus's father, and they were very strange, creepy, practically mirror images of each other, and they would finish off each other's sentences. But ironically, they were always arguing. They were always plotting to get what they felt they deserved from Gormenghast, mostly pertaining to power and wealth. There are also other characters that are very striking, like Titus's illegitimate sister, who was feral and who lived outside of the castle and who gets killed by a lightning strike. And also the nanny, who was very old, wrinkled and shriveled, but still such a drama queen, very manipulative. And the castle itself, which was named Gormenghast, is this dark, massive, hulking thing, almost as old as time, the home of 77 generations of earls and their families, because Titus becomes the 77th Earl of Groan, so that's how I know there were 77 generations. Maybe someone can do the math of how many centuries Gormenghast has been standing. And the rituals, also just as old as Gormenghast itself. The rituals were terribly outdated, but still mindlessly being followed by everyone, even though they don't even know why anymore, and many of the rituals are very strange. The castle even had a master of ritual who presided over every single day because every single day had rituals. This castle and all of its rituals and all of these strange characters just moving around the world of Gormenghast, which of course had to include a villain and also just, basic staff that plot each other's murder, as people in old castles do. All of these will all come to a head in which all of the rituals will end up being just basically thrown out desecrated. And in all of these, Titus is still a small child, and that is how this novel ends, which is continued on the other books. Now, I loved the book, like I said, but could not find the other two books in book sale branches, and I did not have the budget to buy brand new books at the time, so I just let that be. However, in 2012, I bought my very first Kindle, a Kindle Touch, and the very first things that I purchased were the complete books of the Gormenghast trilogy, and that's how I got to read the entire thing. I reread Titus Groan from the very beginning and just continued reading until I have read all of the 3 books. It was so wonderful. It was truly, truly gothic. In 2011, 43 years after the author has died, a 4th book was published, written a few years before he died, but he wasn't able to finish writing it. I have not read that. Maybe it is time to reread everything from the beginning, but this time including the final book. If you are a lover of Gothic books, you have to read the Gormenghast series.